Okay, let's look at this hair. What I've got here is hair that's got some layers in it and actually a grown out fringe. Got a little bit of color contrast as well. That's fine. What we're going to do is a modern little shape in here. Everything's based in the past somewhere, but this has got a nice little twist to it. Again, red carpet, weddings, etc. It's nice and easy to do and maintain. I've taken a triangular section from temple to temple just back into the crown. That gets rid of all my hair that's layered and not quite one length. So it just allows me to work on the hair that I want to start with. I've then just moved from the ear to the back, so we're just around occipital, and then I've done the same underneath. The reason I've come across like that, as I've mentioned in other streams and videos that we've done, is I don't want a seam here. I don't want a parting to show. If I'm doing period stuff, then maybe I do, but for this, I don't. So by putting this in this area and then bringing this up, I can keep these separate. Now, you could roll this into curlers and get a much fuller shape on this. You could separate the curls as we've done with some of our other looks, but I'm actually going to work on these two shapes directly as they are, so from smooth. And we're going to get a really nice feeling here. So I'm going to move this one up as well, get that one out of the way, and I'm going to work on the underneath. So pop your down, love. That's great. And just pop a little spray on here. And I'm backcombing this hair in a couple of sections. And I am going into the length, and remember we do that when we want to fill the shape out. When we're compacting and building height, then we're doing it just at the root. If we're wanting to build the shape out, then we're working out into the actual length of the hair, and that's what I'm doing here. So just separating this through and then getting that backcombing in there. Once it's there, I can spray a little again. And then I can get my trusty Boar's bristle brush and smooth this hair out. And as I'm smoothing out, remember I always want to make sure the edges are nice and clean and smooth as well. I've got some variations in length here, but that's going to work out perfectly fine for what I'm going to do. Now, we've done this before. We're working with smooth edges, and like we did with our big 60s top knot, we're just going to twist this shape around to create the chignon or the shape in the bottom. So nice and firm. All the time you'd normally spend setting, you're not having to worry about. So take your time. There we go. So my tail comb's been that skinny finger we always need just to hold the hair. Get those ends nice and smooth, and I actually like that little bit of colour coming through, it's nice. And then I'm going to use hair pins as opposed to bobby pins, and I'm pinning into the outside shape and the underneath shape. So in, over and down, remember, we'll make sure that the hair stays in place. Bringing that across. In, over, down. In, over, down. I'm still holding it because I've only secured one side. I want to make sure that I secure both sides before I let go of my shape. If it flops or falls because you do let go too early, what do you do? You put the shape in again. Absolutely fine. So all I'm doing is going round. Now that I've used my hair pins, if I want to use a couple of bobby pins just to hold this, then I can go in and do that. Because it's a slid shape, it's a shape you've slid around itself. If you want to make sure it's holding, because we've got this little bit of messy, which I like, this is a modern look, we're not trying to be everything in place here. I can take a very fine hairnet that matches in colour. Okay, I can place this over, all the way over, all the way round, and then twist that around so I know it's over the whole thing, And now that whole thing is going to be even more secure. So even these little areas that I've got, you see, that's all the way over. That looks like it's loose, but it's actually not. It's tied up in there. So even though I've got these nice little ends that are flopping, which I think makes it a little bit more of a modern shape, it's all going to hold its shape. So again, get a pin, pop it into the net, and then just pop that down. Okay, so now I'm going to take the top, and again, back comb. I'll hold this out the way because I'm working against myself here. Obviously, gravity's got the better of us. Back comb into this. And I've split this again. There's a fair amount of hair here, so make sure you've got your back combing all the way through the way you want it. And now I can drop this down. Smoothing out the hair. Make sure you get those edges. And now you have a choice of shape. You can either bring this back up and create a secondary shape on top of the first, or you can bring this over, wrap it under itself so it's more smooth than the underneath one, place it down, tuck your ends under, so you've got two separate shapes going on, which is kind of fun. As I say, doing the two that match, absolutely fabulous. Doing two that are separate just makes a nice change. We're going into the center of our shape, which we've done with a lot of shapes now, to pin, because now with this thickness, we're going to bring this out. And we're going to pull this around. And as we pull this around, we can close this down to the sides. I'm going to pop a little spray on. Again, if you want to use a fine net on this to hold the shape, you can. It isn't absolutely necessary, but because of the slickness of the shape, you can do. Let's just pop a little net over here. Get rid of the hair you don't need, the net you don't need. You can tuck it inside. Nice thing is they fit, and now the hair will move, but you're not worried about it dropping or anything. So I'm going to bring it to the side again. Pop some hairpins along the shape on both sides, and that just fills it out. I like the variation. I like the idea that you've got a couple of different shapes going on. But again, you're the artist, so you decide how you want your shape to sit. Now we're working on the top, all these jumbled layers and areas that we have. I'm going to back comb at the root, because now I'm wanting a little bit of lift. Could you do this completely flat? Absolutely. If you didn't have layers and awkward lengths towards the front, this could have gone back from the very beginning, and the whole thing can be very smooth and very sleek, almost like a modern Evita type look, really. But because I've got these layers and because I've got this fringe area, I would rather make use of it rather than pretend it doesn't exist. Now, if it's been a while since it's been cut, or it's very flyaway on the ends, then I would suggest just on the ends flat iron it first. Not right the way through, because you're putting body into the root, you don't need to. But just to give yourself a little bit of lift in there. I'm going to come through and smooth this out. And during this stage, I'd normally use a mirror to see how this is sitting. So, nice little bit of lift with my layers. I'm blending this along the sides. Take your time to comb this through, as I say, and if you need to, just use your flat iron on the layers. Bringing this to the back, and I'm just pinching it together. Now my layers are up there, so I'm just holding it firm below that because I've already combed that area, so I just want to get these ends smooth without knocking everything out of place. And then quite simply, I'm going to twist with my finger. Bring this down onto the elastic area so that that's covered. I've obviously used an elastic that matched color-wise as well, because I don't want that to show. So I've brought that to one side and I'm just pinning it so that it's firm against the scalp. So all you're doing is opening your pin up and just pushing it down so that my ends are loose, but the hair is firm. Comb all my ends together, keep them nice and smooth. I've used no rollers in this at all yet, and I've got quite a nice shape. If you want to roll it, then absolutely you can. You would get more body. You could vary these shapes underneath. It's entirely up to you. So let's pull that across. Let's use a hairpin so that I can sink it into the shape and into the shape on the underneath. So I'm going to go in with my pin. It's going to go right into the fat area of that shape underneath. And I like the color contrast. Rather than going, oh my God, my model or my client or my whatever, the hair is odd, you know, it's not matching what's going to happen. Look at shapes that you can build that you're actually saying, okay, that's actually going to work for me, or I'm going to make it work for me, because I think that could be more fun. I'm going to go in with a blonder hairpin on this area so that it's not so noticeable, because obviously I'm using a blonder, I'm working with a blonder area of hair. And again, make sure these sides blend together so that it's a nice blend between 1, 2, 3. You're not looking at this and going, oh, that's 3 sections. Hopefully you're just looking at it and saying, that's a nice look. You could decorate this with anything. You could have these ends messier and more pieces falling out. It's really up to how you want to finish it. Once you've got that, check your shape, play around, put some more pins in if you need to. But basically what we have is 3 sections of hair, the longest on the underneath, the middle with some little awkward layers, some more awkward layers on the top, and even a coloured variation. But what we've done is we've looked at the hair, seen how we can blend it together, and with 3 sections we've blended and got a really nice, quite sophisticated shape, which could be flat on top, can have some lift, it's entirely up to you. So a nice easy look, but you can vary in many different ways, and I hope you like it.